Run. Melos. By Osamu Dazai. Melos was furious. He was determined to eliminate the tyrannical king who ruled through deception and violence. Melos knew nothing of politics. He was just a shepherd from a village who spent his days playing the flute and tending to his sheep. However, he was particularly sensitive to evil. Before dawn that day, Melos had left his village, crossed fields and mountains, and arrived at the city of Syracuse. 10 miles away, Melos had no parents or wife. He lived with his shy 16-year-old sister. This sister was soon to be married to a certain earnest shepherd from the village. The wedding day was approaching. That's why Melos had made the long journey to the city, to buy wedding clothes and feast provisions. First, he gathered these items, then strolled along the city's main street. Melos had a childhood friend named Selenucius, who now worked as a stonemason in Syracuse. He planned to visit this friend next. Not having met for a long time, he looked forward to the visit. As he walked, Melos began to find the city's atmosphere strange. It was eerily quiet, though it was natural for the city to be dark as the sun had already set. There was something more than just nightfall making the entire city feel deserted. Even the usually carefree Melos gradually grew uneasy. He caught a young man passing by and asked what had happened, mentioning that when he had visited the city 2 years ago, people had been singing even at night, and the city had been lively. The young man just shook his head without answering. After walking a bit further, he met an old man and asked again, this time more forcefully. The old man remained silent. Melos grabbed the old man by both shoulders and shook him, demanding an answer. Finally, the old man responded in a hushed whisper, as if afraid of being overheard. The king executes people. Why does he execute them? He claims they harbor evil intentions. But no one has such thoughts. How many people has he killed? Well, first it was the king's brother-in-law, then his own heir, then his sister, then his sister's child, then the queen, then the wise minister Alexis. That's shocking. Has the king gone mad? He's not mad. He says he cannot trust people. Recently, he's even grown suspicious of his subjects' hearts and orders anyone living too luxuriously to provide a hostage. Those who refuse are crucified and killed. Today, 6 people were executed. Hearing this, Melos was enraged. What an absurd king. He cannot be allowed to live. Melos was a simple man, still carrying his purchases. He walked straight into the palace. He was immediately arrested by the patrol guards. When searched, a dagger was found in his pocket, causing a great commotion. Melos was brought before the king. What did you intend to do with this dagger? Speak. Tyrant Dionysus questioned calmly but with authority. The king's face was pale, and the wrinkles between his eyebrows were deeply etched. To save the city from the hands of a tyrant, Melos answered without hesitation. You? The king smiled contemptuously. You poor fool. You don't understand my solitude. Don't say that. Melos shot back angrily. Doubting people's hearts is the most shameful vice. You even doubt your subjects' loyalty. It was you people who taught me that doubt is the proper mindset. The human heart cannot be trusted. Humans are inherently bundles of self-interest. One must not trust, the tyrant mumbled calmly and sighed deeply. Even I desire peace. Peace for what purpose? To protect your own position? Now it was Melos's turn to sneer. What kind of peace comes from killing innocent people? Silence. Low-born fool. The king suddenly raised his face in response. Anyone can speak pure words, but I can see through to the depths of people's hearts. Even you will beg for mercy when you're crucified, but I won't listen. Ah, the king is clever. Go ahead and be proud. Even though I'm perfectly prepared to die, I won't beg for my life. However, Melos paused, lowering his gaze to his feet for a moment. If you're inclined to show me mercy, please grant me a 3-day reprieve before the execution. I want to see my only sister married. Within 3 days, I'll hold her wedding in the village and surely return here. Foolish. The tyrant laughed in a hoarse voice. What an outrageous lie. You expect a freed bird to return? Yes, I will return. Melos insisted desperately. I keep my promises. Please grant me just 3 days. My sister is waiting for my return. If you can't trust me that much, very well, there's a stonemason named Selenucius in this city. He's my closest friend. I'll leave him here as a hostage. If I flee and don't return by sunset on the 3rd day, execute that friend instead. Please, do this. Hearing this, the king secretly smiled with cruel pleasure. Such impudent talk. Of course he won't return. It might be amusing to pretend to be fooled and let him go. And then it would be satisfying to execute his substitute on the 3rd day. I'll put on a sad face and crucify the substitute, showing everyone why people can't be trusted. I'll really show those so-called honest folks. I'll grant your request. Call your substitute. Return by sunset on the 3rd day. If you're late, I'll definitely execute your substitute. Feel free to be a little late. I'll forgive your crime forever. What are you saying? Haha. If you value your life, be late. I understand your heart. Melos stomped his feet in frustration. He didn't want to speak anymore. His childhood friend Selenucius was summoned to the palace late that night. Before the tyrant Dionysus, the two good friends met for the first time in 2 years. Melos explained everything to his friend. Selenucius nodded silently and embraced Melos tightly. That was enough between friends. Selenucius was bound with ropes. Melos departed immediately. It was early summer, with a sky full of stars. That night, Melos didn't sleep at all as he hurried along the 10-mile road. He arrived at his village the next morning, when the sun was already high and the villagers had begun their work in the fields. Melos's 16-year-old sister was tending the sheep in her brother's place that day. She was surprised to see her brother walking unsteadily, exhausted to the point of collapse. She showered him with questions. It's nothing, Melos tried to force a smile. I left some business unfinished in the city. I have to go back right away. We'll hold your wedding tomorrow. The sooner the better. His sister blushed. Are you happy? I bought you beautiful clothes too. Now go tell everyone in the village. The wedding is tomorrow. Melos started walking again unsteadily. Returned home. Decorated the altar of the gods. Prepared the feast table. And soon collapsed onto his bed. Falling into such a deep sleep he seemed barely breathing. When he woke, it was night. Melos immediately visited the groom's house. He asked them to hold the wedding tomorrow, saying there were some circumstances. The shepherd groom was surprised and refused, saying they weren't prepared at all and to wait until grape season. Melos insisted they couldn't wait and begged them to do it tomorrow. The groom was equally stubborn and wouldn't agree. They argued until dawn, and finally, somehow, Melos managed to persuade and convince the groom. The wedding was held at noon, just as the bride and groom were making their vows to the gods. Dark clouds covered the sky, and it began to rain, first in drops, then in torrents. The villagers at the celebration sensed something ominous. But still, everyone maintained their spirits, enduring the stuffy heat in the small house, singing cheerfully and clapping their hands. Melos too had a face full of joy and had even forgotten his promise to the king for a while. The celebration continued into the night, becoming increasingly wild and festive, and people completely ignored the heavy rain outside. Melos wished he could stay there forever, wanted to spend his life with these good people. But now his body was not his own. It couldn't be helped. Melos steeled himself and finally decided to depart. There was still plenty of time until sunset tomorrow. He thought he would take a short nap and then leave right away. By then, the rain should be lighter. He wanted to stay in this house as long as possible, even just a little longer. Even a man like Melos had feelings of attachment. He approached the bride, who seemed dazed with joy this evening, and said, "Congratulations. I'm exhausted, so I'd like to excuse myself and sleep for a while. When I wake up, I'll head straight to the city. I have important business there. Don't be lonely even if I'm not around, you have a kind husband now. Your brother hates two things most in this world: doubting others and telling lies. You know that, don't you? Never keep any secrets between you and your husband. That's all I wanted to tell you. Your brother is probably a great man, so you should be proud of that too." The bride nodded dreamily. Then Melos patted the groom's shoulder and said, "We're both unprepared. In my house, the only treasures I have are my sister and the sheep. I'll give you everything. One more thing, be proud that you've become Melos's brother." The groom wrung his hands shyly. Melos laughed, bowed to the villagers, left the feast, crept into the sheep pen, and fell into a sleep like death. He woke at dawn the next day. Melos jumped up. "Oh no. Did I oversleep? No. It's still fine. If I leave right now, I'll definitely make it by the promised time. Today I must show that king that human trust exists. And then I'll laugh as I climb the cross." Melos began preparing leisurely. The rain seemed to have lightened somewhat. Once ready, Melos swung both arms wide and shot out into the rain like an arrow. "I will be killed tonight. I'm running to be killed. I'm running to save my friend who took my place. I'm running to break the king's wicked schemes. I must run, and then I will be killed. Preserve your honor from youth. Farewell, homeland." Young Melos found it difficult. Several times he almost stopped, yelling, "Come on, come on," to encourage himself. He ran. After leaving the village, crossing fields, passing through forests. By the time he reached the neighboring village, the rain had stopped. The sun was high, and it was starting to get hot. Melos wiped the sweat from his forehead with his fist, having come this far. It should be fine, there's no more lingering attachment to home. My sister will surely make a good wife. I should have no worries now. All I need to do is head straight to the palace. There's no need to hurry so much. Let's walk slowly," and regaining his usual carefree nature, he started singing his favorite song in a good voice. Walking leisurely for 2 miles. 3 miles. When he had reached about halfway through the entire journey, disaster struck suddenly. Melos's feet stopped dead. Look at the river ahead. Yesterday's downpour had caused the mountain springs to overflow, and the muddy waters had gathered downstream, surging forth with tremendous force, destroying the bridge in one sweep, the violent current tossing the bridge beams into splinters with a roar. He stood there dumbfounded, looking around desperately. He called out as loud as he could, but all the boats had been swept away by the waves without a trace, and there was no sign of any ferryman. The current continued to swell, becoming like a sea. Melos crouched on the riverbank and, crying like a man, raised his hands to Zeus in supplication. "Oh, please calm these raging waters. Time is passing moment by moment. The sun is already at its zenith. If I can't reach the palace before it sets, my good friend will die for me." The muddy stream seemed to mock Melos's cries, dancing even more violently. Waves swallowed waves, rolling and surging, and time slipped away moment by moment. Now Melos was resolved. There was no choice but to swim across. "Oh, may the gods witness. Now I'll show the great power of love and loyalty that can overcome even these raging waters." Melos jumped into the current with a splash and began a desperate struggle against the waves that writhed and raged like 100 great serpents. Putting all his strength into his arms, he pushed through the rushing, swirling current that tried to pull him under. swimming blindly with lion-like ferocity. Perhaps the gods took pity on this determined human form. Finally, they showed mercy, though still being swept along. He managed to grab onto a tree trunk on the opposite bank. Thank heaven! Melos gave one great shake like a horse, then immediately hurried on. He couldn't waste even a moment. The sun was already beginning to lean to the west as he climbed the mountain pass. Breathing heavily, just when he reached the top and felt relieved, suddenly a group of bandits leapt out in front of him. Stop! What do you want? I must reach the palace before sunset. Let me pass. No way, we're letting you pass. Leave everything you have here. I have nothing but my life. And even that one life, I'm about to give to the king. That life is what we want. Ah, so you were waiting here for me on the king's orders. The bandits said nothing and all raised their clubs at once. Melos quickly bent his body, pounced like a bird on the nearest man, snatched away his club, and shouted, I'm sorry, but this is for justice. With one fierce strike, he immediately knocked down 3 men, and while the others hesitated, he quickly ran down the pass. Though he descended the pass in one breath, he was truly exhausted, and just then the scorching afternoon sun began beating down directly on him. Melos felt dizzy several times, and thinking this won't do, he tried to pull himself together. Staggered forward 2 or 3 steps, but finally his knees gave way. He couldn't stand up. Looking up at the sky, he began crying bitterly in frustration. Ah, Melos, who swam across the raging current, knocked down 3 bandits, and broke through like the wind god to get this far. True hero. Melos, how pathetic to collapse here from exhaustion. Your beloved friend, who trusted you completely, will soon have to die. You are an exceptionally untrustworthy person. Exactly as the king thought, he tried to scold himself, but his whole body was limp, and he could no longer move forward even as much as a caterpillar. He lay down on the roadside grass. When the body is exhausted, the spirit suffers too. A sullen attitude unbecoming of a hero nested in a corner of his mind, the feeling that nothing mattered anymore. I've tried this hard. I had not the slightest intention of breaking my promise. The gods witness. I've done my absolute best. I ran until I couldn't move anymore. I am not an untrustworthy person. Ah, if only I could cut open my chest and show you my crimson heart. Show you this heart that beats only with blood of love and trust, but at this crucial moment, I've completely run out of strength. I am a terribly unfortunate man. I will surely be laughed at. My whole family will be laughed at. I've betrayed my friend. Collapsing halfway is the same as doing nothing from the start. Ah, nothing matters anymore. Maybe this is my destined fate. Selenucius, forgive me. You always believed in me. I never deceived you either. We truly were good friends. Not once did we harbor dark clouds of suspicion in our hearts. Even now, you must be waiting for me innocently. Ah, you must be waiting. Thank you, Selenucius. Thank you for believing in me so much. When I think of that, it's unbearable. The trust between friends is the most precious treasure in this world. Selenucius, I ran. I didn't have the slightest intention of deceiving you. Believe me, I hurried here as fast as I could. I broke through the muddy stream. I slipped away from the bandits' encirclement and ran down the pass in one breath. Only I could have done it. Ah, don't ask any more of me. Leave me alone. It doesn't matter anymore. I've lost. I'm pathetic. Laugh at me. The king whispered to me. Come a little late. He promised to kill the substitute and spare me if I was late. I hated the king's vileness. But now, I'm doing exactly what the king wanted. I will be late. The king will be silently pleased and let me go without incident. If that happens, it would be worse than death. I will forever be a traitor. The most dishonorable kind of person on earth. Selenucius, I'll die too. Let me die with you. Surely you at least will believe in me. Or is that just my own conceit too? Ah, perhaps I should just live on as a villain? I have a home in the village. I have sheep. Surely my sister and her husband won't drive me from the village. Justice, trust, love, thinking about it. It's all meaningless. Kill others to survive. Wasn't that the law of the human world? Ah, everything is foolish. I am an ugly traitor. Do whatever you want. It's all over. He sprawled out his limbs and dozed off. Suddenly he heard the sound of flowing water. He lifted his head slightly and held his breath to listen. Water seemed to be flowing right at his feet. He stood up unsteadily and looked, from a crack in the rocks. Clear water was bubbling up, whispering something as it flowed. Melos bent down, as if drawn to that spring. He scooped water with both hands and took a drink. A long sigh escaped, and he felt as if he had awakened from a dream. He could walk. Let's go. Along with his physical recovery, a small hope was born, the hope of fulfilling his duty. The hope of preserving his honor through death. The setting sun cast red light on the tree leaves, making them glow as if burning. There was still time until sunset. Someone is waiting for me. Someone is quietly expecting me. Without any doubt, I am believed in. My life doesn't matter. I can't just say I'll die and apologize. I must respond to that trust. That's all that matters now. Run, Melos. I am trusted. I am trusted. That evil whisper from before, that was a dream. A bad dream. Forget it. When your body is tired, you sometimes have such bad dreams, Melos. It's not your shame. You are still a true hero. See, you can stand and run again. Thank heaven. I can die as a man of justice. Ah, the sun is setting. Setting faster and faster. Wait, Zeus. I have been an honest man since birth. Let me die as an honest man. Pushing aside people on the road. Leaping over them. Melos ran like a black wind. He ran straight through the middle of a feast in a field, astounding the revelers. Kicked away dogs. Jumped over streams. Ran 10 times faster than the slowly sinking sun. As he rushed past a group of travelers, he caught fragments of an ominous conversation. By now, that man must be crucified. Ah, it's for that man that I'm running so desperately now. I can't let that man die. Hurry, Melos. Don't be late. Now is the time to show the power of love and truth. Appearance doesn't matter anymore. Melos was now almost completely naked. Unable to breathe. Blood spurted from his mouth 2 or 3 times. He could see it, far ahead. He could see the small towers of Syracuse. The towers gleamed in the sunset. Ah, Lord Melos. A groaning voice came with the wind. Who's there? Melos asked while running. I am Philostratos, your friend Selenusius's disciple. The young stonemason shouted while running after Melos. It's too late now. It's useless. Please stop running. You can no longer save him. No, the sun hasn't set yet. Right now, he's about to be executed. Ah, you were too late. I blame you. If only you had been just a little. Just a tiny bit earlier. The sun hasn't set yet. Melos, his heart feeling like it would burst, stared only at the large red sun. There was nothing to do but run. Please stop. Stop running. Now your own life is what matters. He believed in you, even when led to the execution ground. He remained calm, even when the king taunted him endlessly. He only answered, Melos will come, maintaining his strong conviction. That's why I run. I run because I am believed in. Whether I make it in time or not isn't the issue. Even human life isn't the issue. I'm running for something much more terrifyingly huge. Come with me, Philostratos. Ah, have you gone mad? Then run with all your might. Perhaps it's not impossible to make it. Run. Needless to say, the sun had not yet set. Using his last ounce of strength, Melos ran. His head was empty. He wasn't thinking about anything. He just ran, pulled by some incomprehensible great force. The sun wavered on the horizon, and just as the very last ray of light was about to disappear, Melos burst into the execution ground like a whirlwind. He had made it. Wait, don't kill that man. Melos has returned. As promised. I have returned now. He meant to shout this to the crowd at the execution ground, but his throat was crushed and only a hoarse whisper came out. Not a single person in the crowd noticed his arrival. The cross had already been erected high, and Selenucius, bound with ropes, was being slowly hoisted up. Seeing this, Melos summoned his final courage and, just as he had pushed through the muddy stream earlier, he pushed through the crowd. Pushed and pushed, shouting with his hoarse voice with all his might. It's me, executioner. The one to be killed is me. I am Melos. I who made him my hostage am here. Finally climbing onto the execution platform, he clung to the feet of his friend who was being hoisted up. The crowd roared, "Magnificent! Forgive him!" They shouted in unison. Selenucius's ropes were untied. Selenucius, Melos said with tears in his eyes. Hit me. Hit my cheek with all your strength. I had a bad dream on the way. If you don't hit me, I don't even deserve to embrace you. Hit me. Selenucius seemed to understand everything, nodded, and struck Melos's right cheek so hard it echoed throughout the execution ground. After striking, he smiled gently and said, Melos, hit me. Hit my cheek just as loudly. During these 3 days. Just once. For a moment, I doubted you. For the first time in my life, I doubted you. If you don't hit me, I can't embrace you. Melos struck Selenucius's cheek with a resounding blow. Thank you, friend, they said simultaneously, embraced tightly, and then broke into loud, joyful sobs. Crying could be heard from the crowd as well. Tyrant Dionysus had been watching the two intently from behind the crowd, and eventually quietly approached them and said, his face reddening, your wish has been granted. You have won over my heart. Trust is not an empty delusion after all. Would you please accept me as a companion? Please grant my wish and make me one of your friends. A great cheer arose from the crowd. Long live the king! Long live the king! A young girl offered Melos a scarlet mantle. Melos was bewildered. His good friend tactfully explained. Melos, you're completely naked, aren't you? Better put on that mantle quickly. This sweet girl can't bear to have everyone see Melos's naked body. The hero blushed deeply. Based on an ancient legend and Schiller's poem,